We're all working in unique situations, right, with our budgets when it comes to marketing. But I think the takeaway here is that marketing is an investment. And are we thinking about marketing as an investment, or are we thinking about it as an expense?
Hello, and welcome to The Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Hingle. I run the marketing team here at Marketing Architects, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Angela Voss, our CEO, and Rob DeMars, our Chief Product Architect.
Hello.
We're back with our thoughts on some recent marketing news, always trying to root our opinions in data, research, and what drives business results. Our topic for today is high-impact marketing. We understand our fellow marketers are probably pretty burned out by Barbie by now, but the success of that movie has been a huge topic in the marketing world because of how much marketing itself drove the movie's success. We actually weren't going to cover the Barbie movie on the podcast because we thought every angle had pretty much been explored. However, I put out a LinkedIn poll to help choose a topic for the show, and high impact marketing, and specifically the Barbie movie phenomenon, was chosen. However, it was chosen with a specific request in mind. Could we cover the Barbie movie but talk about what every brand or marketer could take away from this, specifically for marketers who have a tiny fraction of the budget and resources of Mattel, which is frankly most of us. So that is what we are here to do today.
I just feel really bad that I quite literally missed the wear pink memo, so I apologize.
We're always having to pick up for you, Rob.
Oh,
Elena
man.
and I are sporting the pink.
We're also recording this on a Wednesday, and I don't know if you've seen Mean Girls, but on Wednesday they wear pink, so you should be in pink anyways.
Oh man, I need a pink microphone.
That would have done it too. Here, if you can't see us, Ange and I are in pink. Rob is in green, but we'll forgive him for that. And when I was researching this topic, there were a lot of different trending articles to choose from to tee this up. But one I really enjoyed was from Rebecca Rubin at Variety, and it's called Inside Barbie's Pink Publicity Machine: How Warner Brothers Pulled Off the Marketing Campaign of the Year. And to quote directly from the beginning of the article, unless you've been trapped in a plastic toy box, there's no escaping the Barbie core movement that's sweeping the globe, and potentially contributing to a nationwide shortage of the color pink, which must be why Rob is not in pink today. The marketing department at Warner Brothers has been working in overdrive to entice the masses for Greta Gerwig's cotton candy-colored fantasy Barbie, which has been all but inescapable this summer. A key factor has been a dizzying array of partnerships with products that range from a bright fuchsia Xbox to a $1,350 Balmain cropped hoodie.
Which is what I forgot to wear today.
And that's only touching the surface, scratching the surface of the brands that helped propel the movie to a cultural touchstone before arriving in theaters on July 21st. In Malibu, there's a real-life Barbie dream house that's bookable through Airbnb. There's also a themed boat cruise that's setting sail in the Boston area. The article also touches on a fact that has gone viral in the marketing community, and that would be the size of the Barbie marketing budget, which rival studio executives estimate to be $150 million, which is more than the $145 million production. And by the way, that has definitely paid off since Barbie has earned $1.34 billion at the worldwide box office. Propelled by the help of Oppenheimer, Barbie's opening weekend had the biggest collective box office turnout of the pandemic era, and the fourth biggest in history. This article also includes an interview with Josh Goldstein, Warner Brothers' president of global marketing. And he shared some really interesting details about Barbie's marketing strategy that personally I hadn't heard before. For example, their first what they call electric moment took place at CinemaCon back in 2022. They put out a single image of Barbie in her Corvette at Barbieland. Goldstein also shared that in every campaign for the movie, they used a mix of earned media, like social media buzz, and paid media, like a TV commercial. Another fun detail I enjoyed was hearing about all these partnerships we've seen for Barbie, from Duolingo to Crocs to Progressive. And Goldstein said that these started off as licensing deals with Mattel, but as the movie gained steam, a lot of their partnerships came from brands making their own decision to be a part of the movie. So eventually, Barbie just built this flywheel that took care of itself. And finally, Goldstein shared that one of his favorite moments from marketing this movie was when somebody took a picture of a pink sunset shared it on social, and thanked the Barbie marketing team for the beautiful view.
Here's the thing, though. Who is the real genius in this situation, right? Because everybody points to Warner Brothers and they're like, man, the Warner Brothers marketing machine, and it's the pink, beach house and all this stuff. But is it really Mattel at the end of the day that is the true genius for having the guts to throw this brand, like basically throw a Hail Mary to see if they could revive this brand? Mattel at the end of the day isn't just selling a movie. They're selling Barbies. They're selling dolls. And this brand hasn't really grown in over 20 years.
It lost incredible relevance. I mean, I think that's a testament to how important having a brand is. Like, it was iconic, even though that relevance had declined since I was playing with Barbies. It was begging for a resurgence, but needed to be propelled by this marketing engine.
Here's my question. How many CMOs of a brand would say, okay, we're going to sign this brand over to Margot Robbie and her production company? They gave her the IP. Margot Robbie went on and hired Greta Gerwig and her husband during the pandemic to write a script for Barbie. And the whole time they're writing the script, they're like, nobody's going to make this movie, right? This is absolutely too ridiculous. Mattel's never going to sign off on it. The entire movie is a satire of the Barbie brand, right? And they held absolutely no punches. I mean, Barbie's CMO is either an absolute genius or said, what the hell? We got nothing to lose. Let's let it rip,
Yeah, I think just too in the movie, Mattel is very self-deprecating. So that took a lot of courage from the executives there too,
Huge
just to even
courage.
approve that script. And I think if they hadn't done that, it wouldn't have been as popular. I really enjoyed that part of the movie where they were sort of poking fun at themselves. I think if they had made their company seem perfect, it wouldn't have landed as well.
100%. 100%. It would have been a giant commercial. But what bravery. There's so many people that hold their brand so precious, especially something like Barbie. And they just went completely. I mean, they hired Will Ferrell to be the CEO, right? I mean, which was awesome.
Right. Well, Rob, I have to go back a second because you interrupted a joke I was going to make about the sunset thing.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, when your brand is getting associated with a sunset, you're really successful. And who knew it was possible to own a sunset as a category entry point? I had to get that in because that's a marketing effectiveness joke that I was so excited to tell. You interrupted me. However, now that I got that out, speaking of bravery, another thing that I wanted to talk about was the fact that Mattel, not only were they brave for producing this movie, but then Barbie, Mattel, Warner Brothers, they spent more on marketing than the movie itself, which was also a big gamble, but it definitely paid off. And it had me thinking about how brands in general perceive marketing. So, Ange, considering the success that marketing really drove for Barbie, I think one takeaway for every marketer is that they might be seriously underinvesting in marketing. And could this story be a case study to bring to your senior stakeholders to garner more support for the impact an investment in marketing could have on your business?
I think that in theory, the ethos of it all could definitely be a case study. I don't know that I would bring the entire Barbie case study to a marketing team that's questioning marketing spend. We might need to toe in a little bit, but a definite feather in their cap. I would definitely agree. The campaign was successful. It was able to generate a ton of buzz and excitement around the movie. And we're all working in unique situations, right? With our budgets when it comes to marketing. But I think the takeaway here is that marketing is an investment. And are we thinking about marketing as an investment, or are we thinking about it as an expense? To be spending more on the marketing budget than we do on the movie, that's an investment. And when done correctly, can have significant impact on a brand's success. Barbie is iconic, but had no question lost relevance, like I said, since I was a kid. And the role marketing played in bringing that resurgence, in my view, is undeniable. And I'm sure this played out all over the country, but and you talk to it, it's one thing to be able to rent a Malibu pink mansion, but in and around where I live, women and girls just came out in droves of pink to celebrate that release. You had groups of girls dressing in pink, going out to dinner before the movie, and all of that creates chatter and a movement. A thought, oh yeah, Barbie's out. I should get my girlfriends together and do a girls' night, which just in turn helps kind of fuel that flywheel like you were talking about before. So those are the network effects of marketing that are hard to quantify, but they are very meaningful.
TV is the most powerful marketing channel. It's first in effectiveness, leads for trust, and is number one in driving emotion. But it's also expensive, difficult to scale, and hard to measure. So we flipped the traditional agency model on its head and created all-inclusive TV. You get one bill for media. We cover everything else you need to succeed. So say goodbye to hourly agency fees and say hello to making TV work harder than ever. Visit marketingarchitects.com to learn more. Right. And you mentioned that this might not be the perfect case study for a marketer to take to senior leadership to try to get an investment in marketing just because of the massive budget. But I did want us to talk about what every marketer could learn from this, because you're right. Most marketers don't have a marketing budget even close to this movie's. And one of my favorite DIN posts that came out surrounding the Barbie movie was short but impactful. It was from Tom Goodwin. And he said, here's what marketers can learn from Barbie's marketing. First, start with 99% brand awareness. Second, do whatever you want. And
love that.
Well, definitely hilarious. I would argue that there is still a lot we can learn from the success of Barbie, and Angie just outlined a few things there. And the best connection I could find between what Barbie did and what all marketers can study and execute themselves comes from a company called Category Pirates. And if you haven't heard of Category Pirates, they're a group of marketers and consultants who run a digital academy to teach what they call category design. And they also coined a concept called a lightning strike. And when this Barbie marketing news was picking up speed, Christopher Lochhead, who's the co-creator of Category Pirates, said on his podcast that Barbie pulled off the greatest lightning strike framework of any brand in 2023. So, Ange, you're very familiar with the work of Category Pirates. Could you get our listeners up to speed on category design, lightning strikes in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So category design is a methodology that helps brands create and own the market. It's based on the idea that markets aren't created by products or services, but by the way that people think about them. So brands like Netflix, Salesforce, Uber, Tesla are all great examples of category designers because they all created a new market category for themselves and then positioned their companies as the leader or the king of that category. And then lightning strikes are often used to introduce and establish and amplify the presence of a new market category and its category king. And these are big attention grabbing marketing campaigns. Feels very Barbie like, but they're designed to break through the clutter and to get people talking about brands really of all sizes. They're particularly effective for brands that are trying to break into a new market or really get like that outsized impact for a new launch of a product or service, etc. And I think in terms of investment, can range. You could definitely execute a banger of a lightning strike with a lot of budget, but you don't have to either. So it's just all kind of about how you go about it.
Right. Thanks, Angie. The reason I wanted to frame up this conversation with this concept of a lightning strike is because, like you said, any marketer can really plan and execute a lightning strike. And yes, a big budget certainly doesn't hurt, but any brand can pick a few tent poles each year to focus their efforts around. But it does take, first, having something interesting to talk about, and two, arguably more difficult to achieve, which is patience. Patience to not feel like you have to constantly be spreading your marketing around and getting trapped on that hamster wheel of more and more content, but instead take the time and resources to plan something bigger ahead of time for that larger impact.
So I'm still trying to unpack what this lightning strike definition means when you think about, especially if you think about like on a budget. When you look at the term guerrilla marketing, right? Like I would look at the Barbie house being pink as kind of a guerrilla marketing tactic, right? You're not using a normal channel. You're trying to get some earned media from it. You're trying to surprise and delight. How does guerrilla marketing really differ from lightning strikes?
I think that they differ, for, at least from what I can understand, that lightning strikes are more coordinated. So it's more focused on a short time frame, while guerrilla marketing is more spontaneous. And then it's hard because we are talking about how do you do this on a smaller budget. But I do think that lightning strikes, you're supposed to spend more. We talk a lot about the hockey stick concept. Here it comes from a book called Strategy Beyond the Hockey Stick. And it's pretty simple. It's if you invest a lot, at first you're going to experience a dip, but then you're going to experience a big gain. I think that's exactly what Barbie did. They invested a lot on marketing and then they reaped the rewards where most movies would only spend a fraction of what they did. But so I think as far as how it differs, definitely the scale, the budget, the timing. And then I think lightning strikes, category pirates, they also associate them with creating a new category. And I don't know, Ange, if we think Barbie created a new category, but they definitely were trying to reframe and claim how people thought and perceived Barbie through this movie. So I would argue it probably does fit the lightning strike definition pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of their execution, it aligns really well. I think we're potentially in an age where, due to the thought of a potential recession or just marketers just trying to be more calculated and working with less budget, I think the idea of these big events, blockbuster marketing, etc., like call it what you want, are maybe fading a bit. Does that create an opportunity for brands to really make a splash because we're working with less, we're trying to be incremental, we're trying to test into everything, and trust me, we're data geeks, so we're as guilty of that as anyone else. But there's something to be said about just going, no, we're going to paint a house in Malibu. Like, this is going to be so different, so bold, so loud. Everybody in America is going to know that Barbie is coming out.
Think they put a pink toilet in there?
I hope so.
I don't like to think about that, Rob.
Okay. I think about those things.
Well, and I think we know we talked about lightning strikes being expensive, but the way I think about it too, as someone who runs a marketing team with a tiny fraction of the budget that Barbie has, it's also just a difference in mindset. Because if you think about it, there's so much content, there's so much noise. If you're always just making these incremental moves, investing a little bit in paid search and then doing a small video test and investing a little bit of content, there's so much noise. It's so hard to make an impact. I think what Category Pirates talks about is it's hard to do this because, again, it requires patience and something to talk about. But if you can hold back and then plan something bigger, you're going to feel more of an impact. I know that we even think this way for testing television, right? Where we'll have our clients hold everything else steady and then flood the market with TV ads. And that's how you're going to see our response. I just think it takes a lot to break through to people. So a lightning strike, even if you have a small budget, instead of spreading your marketing across the whole year, it might be better to wait and twice a year do something huge for just 2 weeks. Would that build your brand more than just constantly having a little bit of noise?
Right. You might even want to, since they are kind of big bets in bursts, there might be value in even pre-testing some of those lightning strike concepts just to, make sure you're not going to, set fire to the wrong message at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think if you're planning around an event, to me, a lightning strike makes good sense. When it comes to just ongoing, this is a good debate. Like when it comes to just ongoing trying to drive sales, I think marketers sometimes try to deploy that same mindset of going like, well, we want to concentrate just around the holiday, even though really our product or service should be used all year. And I think we would definitely lean more towards the efficient use of your marketing channels, efficient impressions all year to be building that brand so that you have that mental availability. When a consumer comes into market for your product or service, you're top of mind for them. Makes a lot of sense. At the same time, you constantly have consumers that are in market for your product or service. So we're trying to capture those sales. But right, in theory, you could consider the entire holiday period a lightning strike for every brand that's trying to push their end of year sales.
Right.
Which that makes sense too, of course.
Right. I think it's a good point. I mean, history's written by the winners, right? So if the Barbie campaign didn't work, we wouldn't be calling it a lightning strike, right? We've joked in the past, like, hey, create a viral video isn't exactly a marketing plan, right? So there's some calculated risk.
And also, Tom Goodwin did say, Barbie, they started with 99% brand awareness. How did they build that? Years and years of advertising. The Barbie brand still, the last couple years, they spent like 70, 80 million just on national television alone. And none of that included these movie ads. Like that's just Barbie, just the dolls. So, Ange, that's a really good point that Barbie like if you're just planning lightning strikes, if you don't have that always on awareness, there's a reason why this worked well for them. It's because everybody already knew about Barbie. So it was hard for something like this to fail where, I can think of a separate example, Quibi. They spent a lot on marketing. Like everybody knew what Quibi was, but that did not work out that well for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there were network effects that happened years and years ago with Barbie. It was brilliant, their rollout of all of these different types of Barbies, because it became a bit of a collection. You're playing with your friends now 20 years, 30 years, whatever later. All those girls, mainly, not that it's unique to women, but are bringing back that nostalgic piece of their childhood, and the flywheel can kind of pick up and continue on. So I love the story.
Right. And one reason why we wanted to bring this up today was because lightning strikes have been top of mind for us. We're big fans of category pirates, and we planned one recently around the report that we released. We just did 3 podcast episodes on it. But what we used to do is we'd publish content and then we would sort of promote it across multiple weeks. We'd ask people to share it. But this time we planned really far ahead. In the week of the launch, we invested in a lot more advertising, some partnerships. We planned podcast episodes around it, and we did find it had the biggest impact of any content piece we've put out before. So I know it's not exactly, we're kind of taking the concept of lightning strike and using it how we want to, but I do think there was something to that in making a bigger investment and having a bigger impact. And we're actually planning another lightning strike for a new streaming TV product that's coming out in October. And we're going to be trying to do the same thing, which is invest more beforehand to have that bigger impact on the back end. So we'll have to let everybody know how that goes.
We'll report back if it had Barbie's success rates.
Right. Elena's forecasting lightning.
She's just planting all the seeds so that she gets the Barbie-sized marketing budget for next year, which, I mean, I think we should start to build a case for.
Right. Right. Well, if I can just summarize us here, we finally covered all of the Barbie hype and talked a little bit about if you're a marketer that doesn't have the budget of Barbie, which is 99% of us, what can you still learn from it? Sounds like we all agree that there's value in making these bold marketing moves, in investing in marketing and letting it be a growth driver for your business. But if you're going to be making the case for marketing to the C-suite, don't forget that having that always on marketing, that always on awareness is essential, but maybe an opportunity to test out a lightning strike and see what the impact could be. That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you find our show valuable, please leave us a rating and review. And if you want to know what the research says about some recent news, you can contact us at marketingarchitects.com/podcast. Now go forth and build great marketing. If we could play the I'm Just Ken song at the end of this podcast to bring us out, that
awesome.
Would make my day. And if we get sued by Barbie, that's a risk I'm willing to take. So please.
We actually just need Rob to sing it.
Yeah, do you know that song, the I'm Just Ken song?
I saw the movie, but it was I'm Just Ken.
Anywhere
That's all I remember.
Anywhere else
I'd be a
I'd be a 10.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome. That was great.